right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Monkey Fab Garage, monkeyfabgarage.com. And I was going back to the YouTube channel and I kind of realized that I just quit on the Volvo project and maybe somebody cares. So, so I thought what I would do is just kind of so here's why is I wanted to do something nice and do a good presentation for everybody. And that turned into putting stuff on a hard drive, which turned into just never getting back around to it. Mostly because, programs just suck today. Boomer bosses yell at millennial programmers to do something so the boomer bosses can tell their boomer bosses what they're doing. And all that really happens is they just destroy software. So, yeah, my software that I paid a lot of money for that was supposed to be professional level software, I can't download it onto my new computer. And yeah, so I just gave up. So here I am fumbling with some new, inexpensive, free software because why spend the money? Okay, so I'm on a rant. But yeah, why spend 500 bucks if you can't use it? So I'm just not paying for software anymore because boomer bosses. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just rambling on about how great I am and how much we did with the wiring on this guy. Basically, we just pulled back the harness on the Holly and just rewired it. Uh, put everything through the firewall. As you can see, the fire inside's a mess. We have no air conditioning unit whatsoever in there except on the front seat. So we'll go ahead and get all that stuff mounted and put in the car. And I'm just going to kind of go through, see what's worth giving you updates on, and we'll do so as we go. But yeah, it was real simple. We just left all the stock stuff in the car and just kind of tried to work around it, integrate the new Chevy stuff. So it wasn't too terribly difficult, but here's where we're at now, and I'll see what else we got footage on and kind of talk you guys through it. Hope this works out well. All right, here we got the just the dash in. So all the wires are laid out inside. Just throw the dash in. Just trying to get an idea really what do we got to work with. Remember, we have to get behind this dash. We have to get uh, the ECU wiring, the vintage air conditioner system, which I'd probably skip next time. I'll probably try a different brand. I've had the vintage air on both my project cars, and neither one of them do very well when it's like over 100 outside. So that the factory air in both of my new cars do just fine. So, and I have the biggest condenser. I'm not sure what's going on there, but if you have a better brand you like that blows cold air, just drop it down below in the comments, and I'll know next time to give it a shot because the vintage air is it's pretty good as long as it's not over say 85, 90 degrees, then it struggles to keep up both the Phoenix and the wagon here. So yeah, we just got that in. We're just looking at everything, kind of taking a look at the wiring, where we're going to stage everything, our bulkheads through, both for cooling stuff, heating stuff, electrical stuff, etc. And yeah, it was all pretty much easy. That vintage air unit is a big unit, so uh, it was tough getting everything up behind here, but you can do it. It's not terribly difficult. And let's face it, most of you wouldn't even mess with air conditioning. You just rip all that stuff out, have plenty of room. So, uh, winter cars are fun cars. That's the reason they call it boost weather, right? So anyway, that's where we're at, and just moving right along. Okay, so you need a place to tie into for the computer, the transmission control, all this little your radio, whatever you're adding to your car. You need 12 volt switch, 12 volt, sometimes 5 volt and ground. So I found a little fuse box that had two positive poles and one ground pole, and that worked well. So I just did one side switch, one side hot, and the other ground. And then I put a little like 4 post fuse block up there for 5 volt. This is before I knew that I would have nice fuse boxes and stuff that I'd sell. So yeah, I just got these guys and used them. They work pretty good. So I just want to show you how we did that. That's just right in the passenger side. It'll be right to the right hand side of the glove box if you look at it. There's plenty of room back there once you got everything moved out of the way, easy to get to. And that way you just got a real easy 12 volt switch, 5 volt and ground source for everything you need to get to in the car. And that's kind of how I skinned that fish. And just like that, we got the air conditioner unit in there and hung. Basically, all the wires are routed. So before we did this, we kind of figured out where everything needs to go, where it needs to land at, etc. Loomed it best we could, zip tied it up out of the way so it wouldn't be just hanging all there. Yeah, terminated wires we didn't need, etc. So yeah, you can see this guy takes up a good hunk of real estate up underneath the dash, and then once you start running all the hoses that have to go in and out and across, etc., it your space is gone real quick. One thing that I would have done, had I known better with this, is I just would have done a better job with the wiring harness for the Holly. I would have done the same thing I just got through doing with the Phoenix, where you just basically pull all the wires through, re-terminate everything. If something needs to be extended, just rewire it, reloom it. It works better. Here I just pulled everything back into the cockpit and just kind of wadded it into a big tree trunk of a harness, which makes sense if you don't understand what you're doing with the wiring. But now that I have a better clue, it doesn't make sense. So we'll probably go redo all that. But that's how that looks underneath the dash. Just wanted to show you guys. All right. So this is how we mounted. Well, this is how we took care of the shifter problem. So it's a 4L60E, which fit fine. I think there was a little bit. There's always clear. You're going to have to do clearancing on the bell housing. It's just too small for these guys, but the rest of it fit just fine, which is nice. And if you want like a big power, transmission, you're willing to pay big power money. You can get a 4L75. They're a back order, but they're big beefy boys that can hold probably all the power. They're rated the same as the 4L6 or the 4L80. So, but they're for like $4,000. So I just got the regular guy. I threw a Sonex shift kit in it, and it's been working fine. So this is just basically a pedestal. There's a 4 bolt, basic design that came with the factory stuff that mounted to the floorboard, and then I just put a little bar in between, put another mounting pedestal on top for the shifter. It's kind of canted a little bit, and just goes down between the driver's seat and the center console, loops back to the transmission. Works great, cheap. You can't accidentally shift 2 gears on this design, and that's why I picked it up. Although I'll tell you, mostly I just leave it in overdrive and smash on it like I stole the car, and it's been doing fine for 6,000 miles. So that's how we took care of that. So uh, for the gas pedal, I just chose to use a drive-by. I like drive-by wire. It's really nice and it works really well, and it does its own IAC and idles better, and I just like them. So yeah, I just kind of cruised Amazon. So I found a gas pedal that kind of looked like it had about the same shape, and that's what we went for. So I forget what this is off of. It doesn't really matter. Well, the only thing that matters here is it had some kind of strange connector. It wasn't the typical Holly connector, so I had to buy another connector and repin it. Which is, it took some research and time. It can be done. You can just actually build a whole drive-by-wire harness. It's not that difficult, but that's what we got. And then the stock one, you guys can see how the stock one just bolts in. It's real simple. It's got that little pull guy at the top. And I think that would be like super easy to adapt if you don't like drive-by-wire and just want the old cable guy. But that's how I did it. So at this point, we have everything done. So everything that needed to go in and be mocked up for fabrication to make sure everything fits and is how we like it is done. So now it's time to pull everything out. And I got to rebuild it. Not really rebuild. I got to put a shift kit in the tranny, but everything's going to go in this time. We pull it all out, and that way everything that goes in is all torqued for final specs, and we know everything's good to go. So that's where we're at in the build now. Okay, so like I told you guys, real quick while Jacob was here, I had him help me pull out everything. So the transmission's out. This is all, like I said, this is all done. There is the only wiring you need to do is a neutral safety switch in here, I do believe, and we got to 3D print some shit to make vents work, but inside's done. So don't worry about that. Transmission's here. Got transmission. Old transmission, old fancy torque converter, and yeah, naturally aspirated. The 5.3 sitting out there with its camshaft and its springs and 243 heads, so it should be decent.
And then the engine bay is meow. So everything we labeled. You can see it's got little labels on it. So everything's labeled. Everything where it goes is, and everything popped out like super fast. And that was the point. The idea being that if you ever needed to service the vehicle, that working on it is super easy, and everything was. So manifolds came out, the headers came out, everything's easy to get to. The only thing that's really a pain in the butt is the crank position sensor. So to get it on and off, you actually have to remove the intake manifold because of the stupid intake manifold so low, and they didn't leave enough. I don't know why they made cathedral port heads knowing that it was going to be a 24X, generally speaking, and then made that part so inaccessible for the sensor. That was silly. Fast. It's the same design for 2 decades. Fix it. Get your stuff fixed. And yeah, so easy peasy. I already told you we got these few holes to fill on the firewall, and then everything just goes back in. I'm just going through and touching everything. So like I'm gonna start at one corner and just sweep through the engine bay. I've kind of already done this in some ways, like just dressing up, like the hoses for the water sprayer need to be connected. Everything needed to be kind of dressed up and made like a neat little bundle. I'm gonna take this guy off and trim it down to the size we actually need it instead of this huge thing. I'll probably paint it black. And yeah, just kind of go through everything and just make sure everything is ran with the garments it's supposed to have. Tight, nice, neat, tidy, and just make sure the engine bay is prepped. Alright, I thought I'd just give you guys a quick tour of the undercarriage. Just in case you guys haven't been following along studiously with my brilliant narration of how I've been doing this. We'll just break it down real quick and easy. What's been done here. So, the tunnel had to be bashed to get the transmission in there. And then we had to do a little bashing over here. I probably still need to put a little bit more hammer into this now that I got a good angle. And over here as well. So we got the lines. I'll cut these guys out while I'm here because that's just going to get caught up on shit for no reason. But yeah. Nothing really fancy going on. I added a little heat shield. The exhaust comes down on both sides. Those already heat shielding. So the exhaust, I think, came to this side anyway. And then all the power, electrical, fuel all came on this side of the chassis. So it still does. The fuel lines are up here. We just have like a -6, just regular AN hose that we sell on the website. It's rated for E85. So I figured we'd give it a try and see how it does on the E85. For us, we got a 40 micron fuel filter there, and it just kind of zooms back. You know, we have the flex fuel sensor up there, so that tells us our flex fuel, and it zooms back and over to the fuel tank. We got we got a 400, I think, with like a Hellcat pump in here, ethanol safe. The exhaust just runs down either side, crosses underneath the transmission that both runs over here. You can see it's all over there in that corner, shoved over there. We got a cross pipe, and we actually have 2 MagnaFlow dual 2.5-inch mufflers because I hate loud cars. Left the stock axle in it. This is going to be an issue. I'm just going to go ahead and say right away. But not the biggest issue because the turbo models have a 370 gear, and these are 410s. So I think it's going to be, even with the lockup converter, I believe we're going to be a little busy on the freeway, and I don't want that. I have had enough of that with the Phoenix. So so we might swap this whole thing. That's why I haven't really, I mean, there's nothing really to do with it other than change the fluid. They're pretty solid axles. They're called G80s. They're who makes these? Oh, come on, Mike. Dana. Yeah, they're Dana rear end, and it's this called a G80, and they're not bad. It's, you know, not an 8.8, but it'll get the job done. I think they've seen like 10s on like drag week and full on station wagons. So yeah, so the exhaust comes over the axle, spits out here, and that's about it. I took some measurements off the Volvo dash and basically just imported kind of the outline of the inside, and then I made this see if I can do the little spinny spin. I don't know if I can't really do it. So anyway, this piece here is just flat, the blue right here, and then it's got a big hole so this guy can fit inside. Let's go to the, so this guy will just fit inside. I think I can do this, yeah. And that's what's printing over there on our 3D printer. What will happen will be the dash will bolt into this from the back and lock in place. And then from the front, this will just bolt onto that big blue piece I just showed you. And we'll have a couple capture nuts on the back. So if you need to access the dash, we'll just be able to undo 4 bolts and pull the whole thing out. I will show you. What are you doing, chunky girl? Chunky girl. So cute. So this guy is just, like, how long does 3D printing take? So you guys can see that's been 4 hours and we've done 7.2 millimeters. And I think we have, it's an inch and a half, whatever that is, like 36, 35, something like that, I want to say. Let's see, this is the Monkey Fab office. I've already taken, yeah, so this is, I pulled apart the dash, and this is what we used to get that kind of shape from. We just took this, cleaned it off, traced it out. You can see we traced it out here. Did a scan. Did a scan, found the midway point. It was too big to do the whole thing, so we just did mark the halfway point, scan this into our CAD, and then just flipped it, mirrored.
Okay, so I'm been at this for hours. I know it's only it's unfortunately long. I can see that now. We're into the 17-20 minute range. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end this guy here because nobody wants to hang out and watch all this. But you can see that we are getting the engine back in, and we are definitely on our way. All the fabricating and figuring out has been done for the most part. We had some few hiccups, like that engine dangling there didn't last, but maybe 30 miles, and then it got pulled out and replaced. But this is foreshadowing. So yeah, I just wanted to put this out there. I didn't want to just end what we had started with the Volvo because we'd actually put a lot of work into this guy, and it was a fun car. It's like my favorite. I daily drive this thing everywhere, and it's ridiculous. And I can't get a race on the freeway because no one wants to mess with a Volvo wagon. It's just too costly. If you win, then who cares? You just beat a wagon, and if you lose, then you don't want to necessarily have your brand new C8Z06 with the tag name Bruce on the interwebs for everybody to see. So I get that. Fun car. So I don't know what I'm doing here on painting things. Apparently it wasn't done well enough. So yeah, I'll finish this guy up in as many parts as it takes, but we will get this series done for you guys. I appreciate y'all's patience. And if you can, it would be a huge help, seeing as the economy's in the toilet and we're making barely any money. And we have mouths to feed and families to take care of. You can drop by old monkeyfabgarage.com. We've been adding quite a few things. So we've added electrical wiring and wiring kits and stuff to do that stuff with. Along with our classic fabrication, AN hoses, and all that good stuff we use to build these cars you're watching now. Sure would appreciate it, so go ahead and check it out. Link will be in the description, but it's just monkeyfabgarage.com, monkeyfabgarage.com. And until next time, appreciate you guys dropping by, checking out the videos. This is Mike Monkey Fab signing out.